What it do? Bedtime crew. Hey man, listen, today I am here to give you guys my final prediction for the main event of UFC 317. Ilia Topuria versus Charles Oliveira. Evil versus good. I mean, the easiest way to sum up these two's personality, Charles Oliveira has a fucking family tattooed on his chest. I'm pretty sure that's his daughter and his family and all this. Ilia literally has himself inside of a lion. So if that doesn't summarize who we all want to win versus who we all want to lose, I don't know what else will. But it's not about who we want to win, it's who we think is going to win. I'm here to give my final prediction for this main event. I've been fence sitting this one for a long fucking time now, and I'm here to make my final pick. I'm going to be picking Ilia Topuria, dude. I feel like I just picked Darth Vader to beat fucking Luke Skywalker, dude. I can't believe in the Tame Impala edits I can't pick Charles Oliveira via the power of friendship. I'm sorry, dude. I really, really want to. And a part of me thinks that Charles Oliveira is actually a very hard matchup for Ilia Topuria. A part of me thinks this is actually the hardest fight Ilia Topuria will have in the UFC. Just stylistically, based on the size, the skill set of Charles Oliveira, the power that he possesses, the way that he mixed up his wrestling in his last fight against Michael Chandler. If he fights like that, I feel like this is going to be a very difficult test for Ilia Topuria. But even bad matchups for Ilia, this guy sleeps them, dude. I picked him every other fight except for Max Holloway, and I picked Max Holloway because I said he can switch stances, he has a chin that's never been cracked before, he has a bit of a size advantage now against Ilia Topuria, he's going to be able to utilize oblique kicks, body kicks, knees, elbows, all of these things he used well. It doesn't matter, Ilia still KOs you. Get put on fucking TikTok edits, little bro. There's nothing you can do, bro. So Charles Oliveira, as much as I think he's going to do well in this fight, I don't think he wins. I think he's going to get fucking slimed out, dude. And I'm going to give you my logical, like, void breakdown like I'm fucking Demetrius Johnson. And then I'll tell you, like, my vibes-based opinions on this. So the first thing I need to talk about, obviously, the defense of Charles Oliveira. I mean, the lack of head movement, the fact that he's been cracked in pretty much every single one of his big fights. You look at the guy, you look at Ilia Topuria, you know how fucking dangerous he is as a striker. He doesn't show it statistically in terms of his accuracy, but this is a guy that makes very high-level reads within 1 or 2 rounds and starts to land shots that are putting people away and knocking out great fighters like Volkanovski, like Holloway, like Ryan Hall. I mean, dude, who does that to Ryan Hall, man? You know, Ilia Topuria is just such a powerful puncher and he makes such good reads that even though I think Charles Oliveira has improved his defense, and I do think he's going to win one round of this fight based on the grappling and based on his physicality, I do still think he's going to get cracked badly at some point because of his lack of defense, and I think Ilia Topuria is going to KO him, dude. All right? This is how I see this fight playing out. I think Charles Oliveira is going to win one round of this fight. I think against Michael Chandler, he showed every single weapon that I've said before, and I'll say it again in this video, that I think will work against Ilia in the feet, right? I think we saw shit from Holloway, Bryce Mitchell, a little bit of Volk, that Charles Oliveira does well and will be able to do a little bit better because he's a bit bigger, because he has such a dangerous grappling presence, and he probably hits harder than all of those guys by a decent amount. I think he's going to use oblique kicks, which he used very well against Michael Chandler. I think he's going to use great front kicks, like the jumping front kick to the body that he does. He used a jumping front kick to the face on my GOAT, Kevin Lee, tried to fluke him by KO, but, you know, we have a good chin. We didn't get chinned by that. And I think he's going to be able to outmuscle Ilia Topuria. I think we saw in the Chandler fight that if he runs you over, he's going to take you down, right? Even using a clinch against Michael Chandler, again, he's able to bully him around, physically get a hold of him. Against Makhachev, he was able to clinch him and put him up against the fence. I think that if you look back at Ilia versus Max, he was getting hurt with oblique kicks. And Max was able to land knees and elbows in close. He was able to get a hold of him and land some good shots. I think that Charles Oliveira, being slightly bigger, having more power in his punches, slightly improved defense from what we've seen against Gaethje and Poirier in those fights. He looked pretty clean against Michael Chandler, who's a similar height. And he didn't really get rocked or dropped that badly against Arman Tsarukyan either. I think that Charles Oliveira is going to win the first round with a zesty clinch. I think he's going to oblique kick Ilia. I think he's going to land some nice shots. We're going to see Ilia's nose kind of get a little bit red. He gets a little bit of damage like he does in all of his fights. And I do think we're going to see some sort of grappling exchange between them. And this is really intriguing to me because in terms of the grappling of Ilia Topuria, if you ask a Ilia fan anything, dude, he has a BJJ base, man. Dude, he has a BJJ background, dude. He's going to submit Oliveira, bro. He has a BJJ background, man. I don't think he'll submit Oliveira. I think he could, but I don't think he will. I think what we're going to see in this fight is some sort of grappling exchange where either Charles Oliveira shoots a takedown, gets control of Ilia gets back up, or Oliveira fails a takedown and pulls guard and ends up on bottom and wraps up Ilia with his limbs because he does have long, lanky kind of arms and legs. Anyone who's done jiu-jitsu knows if someone long and lanky wraps you up in full guard, you're staying in fucking full guard, dude. You are dealing with some sort of submission attempt. And with Charles Oliveira, I think bro's going to be, he's going to try and quick fire a sub attempt. This kid's going to try and fluke a fucking triangle or a guillotine or something on Ilia Topuria. I'm almost certain if they grapple for any prolonged amount of period, Charles Oliveira will be jumping on his neck straight away, or he's going to try and fluke a triangle straight away. I think Ilia Topuria is going to end up at some point in the full guard, hovering, defending against some sort of submission, getting back up to his feet, or posturing up, landing some big shots in the guard, because we did see Arman Tsarukyan was able to survive submission attempts and then damage Oliveira with elbows, with ground and pound, ride out control time, and win that fight by decision. And I think that this fight, like, again, I keep bringing up the Chandler fight because it's like a short, mini, washed version of Ilia. Like, he's not technical, he's not skillful, but he's a little midget with some pop in his punches, and he can wrestle a little bit. I look more at the Arman fight, to be honest. Like, when I'm looking at this matchup, I'm thinking about the Arman fight, and I'm thinking about the fact that he fought someone with a similar height and frame. Like, Ilia's not as big physically as Arman, but they're the same height. Ilia definitely hits harder. He's definitely a better striker on the feet straight up, especially in the boxing. He has way better calf kicks. I would say that his wrestling is probably not as good because he's just not as physical as Arman Tsarukyan. But against Tsarukyan, Charles Oliveira got outboxed, bro. He got controlled. Once he lost a sub attempt, he was on his back getting controlled. I know that he had the Darce choke and stuck out his tongue, but he lost that fight based on being controlled in the wrestling, being outboxed on the feet by Arman Tsarukyan, especially with the jab. And I think that in this fight, he will have some success in the grappling. He will be able to move Ilia around physically, especially in the clinch, land some knees to the body, land some elbows on the break. I think the oblique kicks are going to be a big factor as well. But I don't think it's going to be enough to beat Ilia Topuria. I don't think he subs Ilia. I don't think he's going to chin Ilia. I do think Topuria is tough enough to survive some sort of big shot from Oliveira, and he's skillful enough to survive in the grappling with Oliveira. One thing I will say before I give my final, like, what's going to happen in this fight. One thing Ilia did really well against Max Holloway and Volkanovski, and against Bryce Mitchell as well, is calf kicks. And I don't think they're going to be there against Charles Oliveira. You rewatch any Charles Oliveira fight, especially the Gaethje fight, no one is getting off calf kicks against Charles Oliveira. He checks kicks really, really well. He has a Muay Thai base, so he's very accustomed to checking kicks. You don't really see Charles getting wobbled with leg kicks or getting hurt with leg kicks. The same way Ilia was rocking Volk and Max's legs, like he was landing big shots and really slowed down their movement. I don't think he's going to be able to do that to Charles Oliveira, because every time you try and kick Charles, he checks it, he puts his hand behind your head, and he uppercuts you, or he does a flying knee, or he lands a right hand on the end. And I think Ilia is not going to be able to get off the calf kicks. I don't think he'll really bother with them, to be honest. He might feint them a little bit and try and slip and land some counters, but I don't think he's going to be able to slow down Oliveira's movement with calf kicks like he has very effectively in other fights. But he doesn't really have to track him down, because Charles Oliveira is on smoke, bro. Charles Oliveira is like the definition of those King Von edits of like Ilia game plan. Feint at range, find your reads, learn to the body. Charles Oliveira game plan. Pulley steady, watch it. Like that's Charles Oliveira's game plan, bro. He's coming to get you. So the forward pressure of Oliveira will help him to kind of get away from the leg kicks, but I think that means he's going to be in Ilia's face a little bit more. They're going to exchange often early, and I think Ilia's going to be able to make reads a lot quicker in this fight. So when I think about this fight, this is what I had a fucking Zack Snyder Justice League vision of this. Any of my DCEU fans out there, I'm looking forward to the new Superman, but the old one was kind of banging, bro. I had a Zack Snyder Justice League type vision of Charles Oliveira getting fucking knocked out cold, bro. I cannot shake it, bro. And this is what I think is going to happen. I think round one, Ilia Topuria gets tagged up a little bit. He's trying to make his reads. He's feinting at range. He's kind of moving his head back and forth. Oliveira's landing oblique kicks. He's landing front kicks to the body. He maybe lands a big front kick to the face. I think at some point, Ilia Topuria is going to make the read on Charles Oliveira's defense that he's either pulling straight back and Ilia will land a big cross down the middle, or as he's coming in, Ilia just kind of sidesteps, lands a big right hand down the middle, or Oliveira is extremely stuck to the high guard, which we know he does a lot. Like, he'll go super high with the guard and just kind of do that Muay Thai leg tap. I think Ilia Topuria, if he sees that and it's consistent, he's going to start ripping to the body. And he's going to back Charles Oliveira up with body shots. And I think he's going to hurt him to the body at some point. And I think at one point in this fight, he's going to defend a takedown really stiffly. Like, push Oliveira's face into the mat, or Oliveira goes to hold him. He tries to pull guard. Ilia just stands straight back up and just says, get up, get up, get up. And Oliveira seems kind of tired. I think once Ilia backs him up against the fence and he's made these reads, he's going to crack him with a fucking left hook and put him out, dude. I think he's putting Oliveira out, bro. Oh my God. I know I'm going to end up in an edit if I'm wrong. But I just have to be, I can't pick against Ilia Topuria, bro. This guy has plot armor. He has plot armor. Like I said, I picked Max Holloway to beat him because he switches stances. He's never been chinned before. You know, he's big. He can defend grappling well. He switches stances really well. He has good leg kicks. He has good oblique kicks. He has good knees to the body. All of these things worked for Max Holloway. Doesn't matter. Get fucking slept. Here's a rose for your dead corpse. What the fuck am I supposed to do, man? I picked him to beat Volk. He beats Volk. This guy literally, I truly believe, is the only person besides JDM, besides fucking Jack Della Maddalena, who I think could beat Islam Makhachev. And I regard Islam Makhachev as the greatest lightweight of all time, the greatest fighter in the UFC right now, the most skillful fighter right now, until JDM beats him. But Ilia Topuria has plot armor. Like, even in matchups where I go, well, I don't know, Oliveira's going to be too physical. He's going to be able to, you know, take the shots a little bit better than these 145ers. He's a big 55er. He has the grappling threat. I just go, no, Ilia will just figure this out and sleep him, bro. And another thing that I think is part of the plot armor is the UFC wants this Paddy Pimblett versus Ilia for the belt storyline, bro. I want this Ilia versus Paddy Pimblett super fight for the belt. Nothing is going to interrupt the storyline of Paddy versus Ilia. We are getting Paddy coming in the cage. Mate, I'm going to fucking teabag you. You little fucking chorizo, lad. You barely fucking beat Oliveira, lad. Swear to fucking God, I'm going to take a shit inside the octagon. I'm going to sleep you, lad. I just don't see Ilia Topuria losing, bro. I think this guy literally has plot armor. I think he's going to be able to make his reads early on. I think he will lose the first round. I think he's going to get out-muscled in the clinch a little bit. I think Charles is going to land some nice knees to the body. I think he's going to land some elbows. Like I said, front kicks, oblique kicks. I also can see they get in the clinch a little bit, and then, you know, Ilia tries to push away, and Charles Oliveira lands a big uppercut, and Ilia kind of like nods his head at him like, okay, yeah, that's pretty good. But eventually, I think Ilia's going to make the reads. He's going to roll with the shots a little bit better, start touching Charles to the body if he's got his hands up really high, or start cracking him with the right hand down the middle. I think at some point in late round 2, Ilia's going to defend a takedown attempt from Oliveira, like a really serious takedown attempt. I think he's going to get back up, and Charles Oliveira is going to be a little bit slowed down because he did go 5 rounds in his last fight, but he does slow down as fights go on. If you're really fighting Charles Oliveira, his pace is not sustainable for a round 4, for a late round 3, for a early round 3, honestly. Like, all of his championship reign, he did start to slow down a little bit. If those fights continue, I think he would have slowed down, right? So I'm going to say that in late round 2, Ilia stops the takedown really hard, puts his face in the canvas. Charles kind of pulls guard, tries to call Ilia down. Ilia just tells him, gets back up. And I think Charles Oliveira is going to get walked down, put against the fence. And I think Ilia Topuria will sleep him with a left hook. Maybe he goes body head, like rips a body hook. Charles Oliveira's hands come down. He tries to swing. Ilia cracks him with a big left hook. I think he's going to put Charles Oliveira out. I don't want to see it, man. I just have to stress, I'm not becoming an Ilia Glazer, bro. But I just have to say it like I see it, man. Ilia Topuria, he reads the defenses too well. He loves destroying our fucking happiness. We all love Charles Oliveira. We all have edits saved of Charles Oliveira. We are all Charles Oliveira, and Ilia is going to be personally sleeping all of us. And there's nothing we can really do about it, man. The only person that can save us from Ilia And I say save lightly because I know that I talk about him like he's a fucking supervillain. And he does act like a supervillain. Like, bro sits in his office like dangling his legs like, how can I make the fans depressed? Who are the fans loving right now? Charles Oliveira? All right, I'm going to sleep Charles Oliveira. Like, this guy is genuinely a fucking menace to society, dude. This guy's a terrible human being based on who he's knocked out in the UFC, in my humble opinion. But I just have to say it like I see it, man. Charles Oliveira's defense is not good enough to not get cracked badly by Ilia Topuria. This guy has different power, man. Every single person that's ever watched him train or watched him spar has said this guy can knock out people that are 170 pounders, dude. I know they weren't talking about the GOAT JDM, but anyone else at 170 gets slept by this guy, supposedly. And I know for a fact he can sleep people like Max Holloway and Alexander Volkanovski. So I think Charles Oliveira, with his chin, with his defense, with the fact that, you know, he is a solid striker. He has improved his defense. He does have good grappling. I just think that the physicality is not going to be enough against someone so skillful. Like, if Ilia Topuria was genuinely fluking people, like I say it as a joke, but if he was genuinely fluking people at 145, like he just looks like shit and then he KOs them, that would be a different story. But he actually is one of the best straight up fighters in the UFC and in UFC history. I think he's going to be good enough to get this one done. I'm going to say Ilia Topuria, late round 2 TKO. He loses the first round, maybe on 2 scorecards max. Gets kind of out-muscled a little bit, and then he makes his reads. The oblique kicks, you know, they do damage him, but he starts to land big body shots, right hands down the middle, backs up Oliveira after a takedown defense moment, and finishes him late round 2, maybe early round 3. So that's my predictions for the main event of 317. I know I'm sorry to disappoint you guys by picking against myself, but I just have to say it like it is. Let me know your predictions in the comments down below, man. If you guys enjoying the videos, make sure you drop a like, subscribe to the channel. I will be doing a video about Tom Aspinall as the heavyweight champion, who I think he should fight, who I think can beat him tomorrow, hopefully. And I'll also be doing 317 full card predictions. So stay tuned for all of those. I'll see you guys in the next video, man. Goodbye.